The Poppy War by Rebecca Kuang is the first novel in a trilogy that's swept across the fantasy community since its release in 2018, with the third and final installment set to release on November 17th. The Poppy War has no shortage of recognition. It was nominated for a Nebula Award and was recently lumped into a list of the 100 best fantasy novels of all time, curated by Time magazine. There are massive strengths to this book, and some flaws as well, but clearly a chord has been struck, and I think we should take a look and see what's going on inside. For some reason, every single day that I shoot, it decides to rain. Can you guys hear that? I wonder if it'll come out in post-production. I'm gonna put my noise reduction abilities to the test. Either way, enjoy the ambience. The Poppy War is the story of a young peasant girl's journey from a mundane life to an elite military school, to the battlefield where she joins an elite team of magical warriors, all of them equipped with the ability to call down power of the gods. As with any fantasy tale, mayhem ensues. The stakes get higher as war ravages the land, and our protagonist, Rin, has her own issues to deal with. This novel has roots in mid-20th century Chinese history, using a fantasy-tinged backdrop parallel to the Second Sino-Japanese War, and a protagonist that can sort of stand in for China's own Mao Zedong. The magic system is based around using psychoactive substances to commune with gods, which, while fresh and exciting to the novel world, the concept dates back centuries. All of these elements are key components to what makes this a compelling story. The political landscape is riveting, and the cultural critiques that take on such heavy subjects are laudable. These things alone are enough to give the series the extra oomph that it needs to make a real dent on the fantasy genre. In order for a story to transcend, it often has to have something important to say. Kuang checks all of these boxes for me. However, I'm not sure that any of these things are what sends the story over the top or made it a bestseller. I don't think that readers were gobbling it up because they were obsessed with the Second Sino-Japanese War, or shamanism. It's often the simpler, more subtle elements of writing that bore deep into a reader's soul. They are what make the reader feel something. This is what allows an author to stand above the rest and get those coveted publishing deals. Rebecca Kuang is a scholar, currently pursuing her second master's degree at a prestigious school, but doesn't exactly write like you would expect a stuffy scholar to. This is actually one of the strongest things about her prose. She's actually not stuffy at all, both on the page and off. She is strong enough to write masterfully, but she does it without pretense. Rin's story, despite its magic, politics, and war, is incredibly down to earth. Kuang achieves this by writing a deeply intimate and personal story. With all the grandiosity that goes on around the character, Kuang never loses sight of the prize. This story is a heartbreaking, emotional ride that's guaranteed to make you feel something. But it's not all drama either. Kuang writes in a way that oozes witty self-awareness and doesn't always take itself too seriously. This is one of the first books that I've read that felt like it truly captured my generation's point of view, most specifically when it comes to tone. There's a special way that Kuang portrays Rin's youthful spark that's both fantastical and brutally realistic. As the series progresses, Rin doesn't always take the turns that we as readers want her to, but she never feels any less close to us. Rin is one of the most relatable protagonists that I've read in the past few years, despite the fact that she has the ability to control fire and her actions often affect the fate of her entire country. She thinks the things that we're all thinking and reacts to events in a way that often we would too. I think that's the chord that Kuang struck that allowed the Poppy War to stand above the rest and get all the attention that it deserves. She gave a generation a voice, an iconic tone and wit. The series is even filled with entertaining side characters that can often be more lovable than Rin. The relationships that Rin establishes get you invested, and it's because that same line of relatability runs throughout. The characters don't often think or act like the characters from the classic European fantasy that we're used to. Kuang gives us the world that she knows and understands, and the passion with which it's written makes it a joy to read. Nothing ever feels unnatural or forced. The series is authentic through and through. You really get the sense that Kuang's characters care about Rin just as much as she does, and that gives them a life in a way that nothing else can. With the way that Kuang constructs her story, all of the characters that populate Rin's world are characters that we as readers were introduced to alongside Rin. There's very little that has to be implied or history that has to be explained to us. The core emotional beats and relationships did not begin before the first page we read. We watched them unfold over the course of 2 books, so that now, with the 3rd book, The Burning God, just around the corner, it's finally time to see what Kuang has been planning this whole time. Kuang is quoted saying that The Burning God is actually the book that she wanted to write all along, but that in order to make that story a reality, she had to write the first 2 books first. On face value, it might sound like Kuang wrote the first 2 books just because she had to. But in practice, it becomes clear that the way Kuang deconstructed the story that she wanted to write all along and brought the first 2 novels into being is actually where the true genius lies. The Burning God may bring this series to the climax that it deserves, but the groundwork that's been laid can't be overlooked. Rin's story hits so close to readers because we've experienced every second of it. We've been by her side the whole time, and we'll be by her side to the end, even if it leads to destruction. Thank you guys for watching this one. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys are as excited for The Burning God as I am. I will see you guys in the next video.